One. Hello, this is Japan Anime News Podcast number 4 with my friend,
Sure of the Haze.
and this is Matter Live, and today we're going to talk about,
Fan fictions. What's good and what's bad about them.
yeah.
I'll probably be doing most of the talking, considering that I am a fan fiction writer. I will not disclose my fan fiction name, though, because, to be perfectly honest, I'm not that great of a writer. And on top of that, I tend not to update quickly, so it's my bad. That's why I'm not doing it. Until I've actually finished something worth talking about, I won't post anything for it.
Okay.
Anyway, I did this topic once when I did my own YouTube channel thing. Never came out right, so with Matt here, hopefully I don't screw up as much as I did my original recording. But basically, as a fan fiction writer, I've obviously read fan fictions. I've read good fan fictions. I've read bad fan fictions. I've read mediocre ones. I've read basically everything that you can. So, obviously, I have a number of problems with them. One of those problems is simply the writer's ability to actually write something.
That's my problem, too.
I take it you've read a few, or...
I read a few.
Yeah. The problem with fan fiction writers themselves is that sometimes they don't take certain things seriously enough, or they don't research what they're writing about first. Like, I take a great deal of time to make sure I got the facts straight before I write something, or I obviously state that later on that I changed it for a specific purpose or something like that. But a lot of the writers tend not to follow, like, they break the continuity of a series, and they don't tell you that they're breaking the continuity of the series. They just expect that you know they're breaking the continuity, and that's something you don't do. You have to tell people this is a different timeline, or this is another universe using all the characters from another story in my story. You don't tell them this is how things are going to happen because I said so. Or, okay, this never happened just because I didn't feel like making it happen, or something like that. That's wrong. You want to throw anything in there, Matt?
No, not really.
No? Alright, another little issue with them is that the writers, not only do they have trouble following the source material correctly, they also sometimes lack the ability to actually, write a coherent sentence and make sense of it. Now, I understand that there are people who are bilingual, and most fan fiction writers tend to translate their things over to English because there's apparently a wider audience for them. I mean, if you go to sites like fanfiction.net, virtually everything, minus it's like a good 10% of them aren't in English, at least.
Really?
Most of the fanfictions on fanfiction.net are in English. And this is because, people want to have a bigger audience, because a lot more of the world speaks English than other languages. So, people who are bilingual, unless they've had proper English courses or they've learned it from a valid source, they tend to have really bad grammar.
Really?
When that's the case, I forgive them if they're bilingual. Sure, you can have bad grammar. As long as you learn from your mistake, I'm okay with it. But when people clearly from North America, or Europe or wherever English is the first language, and they have really bad grammar, they don't spell things properly, or it looks like a 2-year-old wrote it, it's just not right. What? I've come across things that are 2-year-olds.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, that's involves the writers. Another thing that's an issue is inserting an original character.
Oh, yeah.
Original characters tend to have... Well, they tend to be more or less self-insertions of characters. So you're basically saying, this is me in the story with my favorite characters in the world, and I'm going to do something with them and be all awesome and stuff.
Wow.
Now, if, like, personally, I've never read a Naruto fanfiction, so I don't really know this from experience, but I've known this from hearing about it. And people who post original characters in Naruto tend to think that their character is better than everyone.
You gotta be joking.
I'm not joking.
That is the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Well, granted that most of the people that post fanfictions of Naruto are young, like really young, and don't know that what they're doing is kind of, looked down upon.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do self-insertions. I make characters from scratch, and I basically say, this is a character that I created for to move along the plot or something. I don't, put myself in the story and say, this is me. And I am awesome. And I could easily kick this guy's ass. Because I can. Now, granted, I make original villains all the time, and hell, I've probably even used myself as a villain before. But I don't make myself invincible.
Yeah.
There's a term for that kind of a character, and it's called a Mary Sue. They are bad. And
really bad.
Roughly 55% of original characters, then that's at bare minimum, are Mary Sues. So they tend to think, I'm more awesome than you are.
That is stupid.
And it's stupid.
Yeah.
So, the reason I put Matt up to this was I wanted to let people know that if you ever aspire to become a fan fiction writer, there's some things that you need to do before you start writing.
You have to do it right.
Before you post it. You have to look at what you're writing about.
If you're not, then you're an idiot.
Well, it just means that you didn't put up the valiant effort to look up what you were doing, considering that, say, you wanted to write... I'm going to use Naruto as the example, simply because it has a large number of fan fictions, while everything else that, like, stuff I write for has a small number compared to that. Yeah. I mean, Naruto's, like, one of the more popular things.
So it's Bleach.
Basically, if you were, say, writing something from the original Naruto rather than Shippuden, then you'd have to explain why you changed the event, or you just look like an idiot. So, it's like, there's a difference between looking something up and saying that you did. And if you, look something up, then you know what you're writing about, and then you can tell people if you decide to change something to make the plot more believable or to make a story different, or, for all those people out there who are, Naruhina shippers, what do you call them? Naruto X Hinata stuff. Those people, if they have a Naruhina story, they obviously know either they know what they're talking about, which is, surprisingly, I kind of lied earlier. I've read one Naruto fanfiction. It was a Naruhina one, and it was very well written.
I like Hinata.
Yeah. I didn't say I hated Hinata either.
Yeah,
she's played by Stephanie Shea. I can't hate her. On top of that, her half-brother or whatever is a badass, so we can let him live.
Yeah.
Neji is awesome. I don't like Naruto.
I thought Ninja was her cousin.
Shut up. I don't know a lot about Naruto. Leave me alone. But the second thing you need to look up is, for all of you who like to make pairings in this thing, this is another issue that I didn't bring up earlier, but I can bring it up now. It's basically, make sure they have some form of compatibility.